Hello and welcome to this episode of Simply Saturday. My name is Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Today we're making one of our fast and easy cards and we will be using this beautiful paper that is still available. This is carrying over into the 2025-2026 annual catalog and it is called Perennial Lavender. So it's fun to have something sticking around for a little extra. If you watched last week's episode, I used a Basic Beige card base, and I'm doing the same thing this time. I am really liking it as a neutral, and it picks up the colors in the paper very nicely. In the paper, it is saying, it doesn't really mention this tan color, but I think that it is kind of like crumb cake. So my beige base cardstock base is a little bit lighter than crumb cake. All right, we're also going to be using Lost Lagoon ink, and my stamp is coming from the stamp set So Sincere, which might be on the last chance list. All right. Oh, I can tell I'm probably going to need a white for our inside of that as well. So let me grab that and we are going to start our stamping and our creating. I just might have a piece that was already cut. We're going to see if this is the right size. I grabbed this from my stack of white scraps, which are usually small, but I did have this big chunk sitting in there. I need it cut to 4 inches, and this is a little bit wider than that. And a length of 5 1/4, which it already is. All right, that's going to be the inside panel of the card. All right, let's put the front together, then we'll do our stamping and do the inside of the card. So for the front, I have 3 small pieces of the designer series paper in varying lengths and widths, and I have 1 larger piece of the designer series paper. This one is going to go down first. To make it easy for you to find information, I have prepared for you in the drop-down menu below this video a couple of links. One to my regular website, my blog, and there you can find information. And then also a link to the resource area of my online store where you can see a photo of this card as well as the dimensions and also a shopping list. So it makes it nice because you can just go down the shopping list and click the items that you want to add to your cart. So do be sure and look for that information below this video. Okay, there we've got the front. Now I have my 3 pieces and I want to put flag or banner ends on the bottom of these. Today's card requires no punches and no die cutting. So we're just doing everything with stamps, ink, and paper. I am going to use my scissors to make this little cut. If by chance you have a nice banner punch, you probably already know how to use it to create that little banner tail in your paper. Like I said, I'm not going to use any punches today. So I'm going to do the same thing on all 3 pieces. I'm going to make a snip in the center up a short distance. Then from the corner of the piece of paper up to where I stopped that snip, I'm going to trim. And then I need to go from this corner to the center as well, which you're welcome to do this way. I like to flip the paper over and then I'm always cutting the same direction from the corner towards the middle, and I'm not having to cut this way and this way, if that makes sense to you. So you can do whichever one feels good. All right, we're going to do the same thing on this one. Make my snip. On this one, I'll show you both. I'll show you the other way. So I'm going to go from this corner to the middle where I made my snip. Let's see, it didn't quite connect. There we go. And then I would go this way, but this way for me just feels awkward. I kind of feel like I'm cutting the wrong way, but that's how you would do it if you don't flip your piece over. Okay, and then we've got one more. And I'll do this one the way that's comfortable for me. So make my snip, cut from the left to that center spot, then flip my paper over and once again cut from the left corner to the center spot. And there we have it, 3 banner ends made in our 3 strips of designer series paper. Okay, let me get some of these little pieces out of the way. So I'm going to tell you a secret. I started out to record this video a couple days ago, and you know what? We're using this side. I had it sitting this way, but we're using this side. And it was a comedy of errors. It was one mistake after another. Now, typically, you know, if you watch me, if I make a little mistake or something doesn't come out right, we just press on because that's just normal. That's just life. But it wasn't just one mistake or 2 mistakes or 3. It was so many things that kept happening. I'll tell you, the very first thing that happened is I glued this first piece on and then realized that I had glued it onto the back of the card. So from then I started my video over and proceeded to do that correctly, and then it was a mess from then on. So my mojo was so off that day that I set it aside and am now coming back today to make this video for you. So there you have it. Sometimes it happens. I'm almost thinking that at one point this year, I will save and then edit down those clips so that maybe I have a blooper reel at the end of the year. That would be kind of fun to see a whole bunch of mistakes stacked one on top of the other. What do you think? Should I save my little mistake clips and create a blooper reel in a couple months? Maybe I will do that. All right, I'm just using my green glue, also known as multi-purpose liquid adhesive, to go ahead and glue these down. I am overlapping them slightly so that the banner end really stands out one against the other. So I've got my top edges even, and the because the lengths vary, obviously that's going to be different, and then slightly overlapping each one on the left. Okay, there we have it. There's our 3 papers. Now, today the goal is to use the designer series paper in an appealing and beautiful way, which is what we're doing, and we're using 3 different prints that all work together from the same packet. Okay, let's stamp. I have a teeny little scrap right here, and I'm going to use this stamp with my Lost Lagoon ink. I'm going to stamp it on a practice one right here. Okay, I like it. Now I'm going to try to get this in the middle. One way to do this is to stamp first and then trim the piece down, which, if this one doesn't end up great, we can do because I do have these ones stamped. But to try to just show you quickly and not have to do that, I was just hoping to be able to get it centered, and that is close enough for me. Okay, so I'm going to take that piece, put a piece of gorgeous grape behind it. Okay, let's put that together. Let me give this a little tilt. There we go. So I don't come off screen quite as far. Okay, so that little purple piece is going to give this like a little frame or a little mat behind it. And then what we're going to do with it is put some mini Stampin' Dimensionals onto the back. So I've got those here. I'll probably use 4, maybe 6. We'll see. I don't want it to sag in the middle, but it's also not a very long piece. So the 4 might be just fine. All right, let's see if we think, I think that's going to be fine. If you were concerned, you could put 2 more here or even just 1 in the middle. Why don't we just do that? Well, happy medium, not 4, not 6. We'll do 5. All right, this is going to go onto my card front. And then I can't wait to show you how we're going to dress it up just a teeny bit. I had a kit class last week, and in one of the classes that had 8 guests, every single project that they were working on had tons of dimensionals. And so these were literally all over my dining room table and the floor, just like little pieces of snowflake. But we had such a great time, and that was a quick cleanup. Okay, I'm going to put this right here on my banners at an angle, and that looks really nice. Okay, so I have a tiny little scrap of this really cool trim left. I honestly don't remember what it was called. Maybe if some of you do, you can put it in the comments and that would help us all out. But it's not available to purchase right now through Stampin' Up. You can tell I'm at the end of the roll, but all I need is a couple of inches. So this is going to serve me just right. Let me get this tape off if I can. Okay. Yeah, I would have to rack my brain for a little bit to see if I could remember what that's called. It's got like a little waffle weave. It's very soft though and really pliable. It's not too stiff to use. Okay, then I dug into my other trims and I found some purple and white baker's twine. This is from a couple of colors ago. This is either either orchid or one of those past in colors. So what I have is a short length of each of those pieces. And as you've seen me do maybe a time or two before, I'm just going to tie a knot with the 2 pieces at once, creating my little shabby chic knot. And then I'm going to trim this down. That was kind of a lot. I might have been able to get 2 out of that. Okay, I'm going to trim that down. As you can see, it's just a knot, but it looks really cool with multiple trims in there. A lot of times I'll do 3. This time I just grabbed 2, and look at how it just is that little softness and pop of color. I'm going to trim this down a teeny bit more. It looks a bit long once I'm holding it on the card. Okay. Let's get a mini glue dot, which is perfect for adding this knot. I'm going to press it right into the glue dot like so. Peel it off the backing paper and apply it right here to the card. And that is going to stick very nicely. All right, let's do the inside, and while we're doing that, we'll think if we want to add any little purple gems to the front of this, because we just might. All right, so I have that white piece of cardstock. We're going to use that on the inside of the card, and I don't want it to be plain, so I think we'll reach in our designer series paper here and find something that we can use as a strip. Let me see if I can find something that's, I've got some short pieces, I've got some longer pieces. That might be the one. What is this one? I've got this one. Okay, I think we're going to need this. Okay, I'm using up my scraps, so I could clearly take a larger piece and trim it down, but I want to use up the scraps that I have. So I'm going to choose to use this one. It's not quite long enough to go the 5 1/4 inches here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my accent strip across the bottom like that. Now for me, that's a little too wide. Let's trim it. For an accent strip on the inside of a card, I like it to be 3/4 of an inch at the widest. I'm going to trim this one down to a 1/2 inch. So a 1/2 inch strip of my designer series paper. And it's going to be 4 inches across, which this is a little bit longer, and that's fine. I actually prefer it. So I'm going to put my silicone mat here, add my adhesive. Now, the reason I said that I actually prefer that strip to be a little bit longer is I can go ahead and put my adhesive end to end. And then I can stick this down on the piece I'm using. This is our inside piece. I like to leave a little white border at the bottom, so I'm going to do that. And it's really easy to lay it down, make sure it's even and right where you want it. Instead of having an exact 4-inch width that you have to make sure lines up on this side and make sure it lines up on this side, this one is guaranteed to go end to end because it's a little extra long. And then with my scissors, I can just trim it. So now it's exactly flush with the white edge of my cardstock. And again, and there we have it. Okay, there's the inside of our card. Let's attach that. And then, have you been thinking, should we add some little gems? I think we will. If you don't have time, this card is cute as is. You could just walk away. But if you have the extra moment or two to add some gems, let's see what that's going to look like. I like the white against this beige. Like I said, it's serving as another neutral to white and vanilla. And there we have our inside. Okay, I have a few, not many, of these little sequins left. These were the purple adhesive back sequins that were from Celebration a couple months ago. And I do have a few of these left, so I'm going to go ahead and use 3 of these. Oh, this is in a little bag of its own. Maybe I want these big ones. Let's pull these out. All right, I'm going to use 3. Where to put them? Okay, I'm going to create kind of a triangle. So I'm going to go here, here, and here. All right, so there's that one. A second one that's the larger size. These first 2 were both large. And then I'm either going to use a 3rd large one or a small one at the top. I think I'll just stick with large today. There we have it. All right, I had envisioned this in my mind, but I like it even better now that it's done and I'm looking at it. I'm very happy with it. I hope you are too. I hope this was a lot of fun and that you'll take the ideas from today and either copy my card and make one for yourself or just gather the inspiration and create one that's similar with products that you already have. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy stamping.